Proverbs 13:12 says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life." Another reason God has given you a sexual desire now in singleness, even though you're not married, is so that sexual desire can grow and culminate into a greater holy joy once you do get married. To explain this point further, I'm going to share a few stories today. As humans, we consume a lot of food. Every day we need food. So if I was to ask you a particular date and time in your past and asked you what you ate for lunch that day, and I asked you to describe what it was, I'm willing to bet that you could not do that because we eat food all the time and we just don't remember random simple facts like that are so common to everyday experiences. I'm certain I couldn't do that, but I do remember a few meals in my life. For example, I can tell you what we ate at our wedding reception. It was a morning wedding, and so we served brunch after the ceremony at the reception. So we had crepes, we had bacon, eggs, sausage, fresh fruit, and since there was already a lot of sugar involved, we decided to not get a big cake, but rather we decided to get little cheesecake squares, really because my mother-in-law wanted a cake really badly for our wedding, even though a cake wasn't something that me and Bethany really cared about. The point I'm making here is that I can remember the details of that meal. Even though meals are very common, that meal was special to me because it was a special day. It's not every day that you get married, so you remember the details of those uncommon events. When you treat something special as though it is common, you lose your appreciation for it. And this principle applies to sex as well. If you want memorable, exciting, and pleasurable sex in marriage one day with the one God has for you, you can't treat sex as a common thing in dating. Hopefully you get the point I'm making here, but I'll share another story to drive home the point. Like most of you, I've eaten a lot of fruit in my day, but if you asked me specific fruit that I've eaten at a particular time, at a particular place in my history, of course I wouldn't be able to answer that. But there's one piece of fruit I do remember specifically eating. It was a plum. It was a delicious, best plum I've ever tasted. But there's a backstory to what made this plum so delicious. So my dad is a cyclist, and growing up when I was younger, still living with him under his roof and everything like that, he would take me on these bike rides. He had a really long 80-mile bike ride, and normally bike rides like that were mostly fun and just some torture. But this bike ride was just all torture and no fun. One of the things that made it particularly hard was that midway through the ride, we were really far from home already. My gears broke. So I wasn't able to switch between gears. So when I'm going up a big hill, I couldn't switch into an easier gear to get up that hill. And I lost a lot of advantages that you have to a road bike. It was hot, it was a long ride, and I was just ready to get home. Needless to say, when we finally did get home, I was starving, I was exhausted and tired, and the first thing I ate was that plum. And it was so good, not just because it was ripe, it was ready to eat, but mostly because I had prepared for it. I was ready to eat, I was exhausted, I had just gone through a really hard struggle, and my body was craving that nutrition that plum was providing. And so when I bit into that plum, the flavors just popped in my mouth like no other piece of fruit ever has or probably ever will. Likewise, when we wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait for something that we really want, the pleasure once we finally get it is only increased. As Proverbs 13:12 says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life." Sexual sin in singleness steals sexual joy in marriage. Now, God, by His grace, can restore that joy. Our sin does not outweigh the sacrifice of Christ. His newness through the resurrection can be transferred to us, and we can enjoy sex in a holy way in marriage, even though you may have sinned sexually in your singleness. But with that said, the principle does remain that if you want to enjoy sex in marriage, you have to sanctify your sexuality in singleness right now. When you don't give into those urges and you have delayed gratification in singleness, you're building up the gratification that you'll experience in marriage. So the lesson today is that one reason God is not removing your sexual desire in singleness is because he wants you to experience maximum sexual pleasure in marriage one day for his glory. God could have made our sexual desires like a light switch and take it away when we're in singleness and then give it to us when we're in marriage, but that's not what he did. He did it like this on purpose. And one of the purposes is so that the pleasure builds and culminates on your wedding night and in your marriage. So really, you just want to set yourself up for success in marriage. If you starve yourself of sexual pleasure now, you'll be ready to feast on sexual pleasure in marriage one day.